Welcome back to the channel. This is Kevin with Everglades Canine, and today I'm going to be working with the mini Australian Labradoodle Theo. Not this dog. This is my dog Hudson. Good boy. I have Theo in the kennel room right now. You may not be able to see him because of the glare, but we're going to be kind of talking and demonstrating the importance of doorway manners. All right. So if you own a dog and when you open the front door or the back door or any door or the kennel door and they burst out running, that's something that you want to get under control. Okay. Doorway manners, crossing thresholds should be something the dog needs to have access granted to. Okay. Especially, some people struggle with their walks. They open the door, their dog flies out, they're with the leash, they go out. All of that high energy of the dog wanting to go out transfers right over to everything you're about to do outside. So, doorway manners are something that we practice every day and something that I highly recommend you practice with your dog. And it's relatively easy. We do a lot of body blocking and spatial pressure, and we get the dog to basically stand at the edge of the door and wait for the handler, the owner, the trainer to say okay or yes, or give them access to cross that threshold to the outside. Okay. Now, this really helps in your pack structure environment in your house. Okay, you really want to establish pack structure in your house. We talk a lot about that on this channel because I believe that pack structure is one of the biggest things that owners need to do in the house to get their dog to trust them and to comply to commands. Okay, so when your dog thinks that they could just run in and out anytime they want, all right, they may not listen to you as much as if they come to the door and they understand that they need to stop and you are the one to give them access to the outside. Okay, so doorway manners are very, very important. We practice that with the kennel door. We practice that with the front door. It can really be any door in the house. And you're doing it right when you open the door and the dog doesn't go outside right away. They will stop right at the door. And, this is not only good for your training, but also could be potentially life saving. Because if your door is accidentally open or you open your door and your dog runs out into traffic, this could be something that's very undesirable for you and your family. All right, so doorway manners, relatively easily executed, and something you can practice daily and should practice daily with your dog every time you open the front door. Well, I'm just going to keep using the front door as an example. But like I said, it could be any door. So basically, when we are approaching the door, I got Theo in here. Okay. So he might try to run out. We have been practicing doorway manners for a little bit now, but what I'm going to do is he's already right here. Okay. And let me back up just a second. Okay. So whenever I knock on somebody's door, like for their lesson or the first time that I'm meeting them, typically what will happen is that the dog is always the first one to the door. Okay. And a lot of times the owner is behind the dog and the dog is in between the owner and the door, and they're opening the door and the dog is the first one out. All right. I will even see the dog's snout right as that door is cracked, the dog's going out. And I really express to owners, you need to body block. You need to get yourself in between the door and the dog and not let your dog just run outside and meet whoever's there or run right out into the street. Please practice doorway manners with your dog. It's super important. And you should be able to get to the point where you can have the front door open and you can be bringing groceries in and out or be greeting your friends that are knocking on the door or even getting a package from the Amazon driver, and your dog stays inside without running out. It just takes a little bit of practice and a little bit of spatial pressure. Okay, so when I mean spatial pressure, I mean when the dog tries to go, we're going to get in his way. Okay, we're going to block him. We're going to get in his way. and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna start creating distance. Okay. And I like to use a lot of movement. I'll move back and forth, because typically when you back up, the dog wants to go. And here's a pro tip. You know when your dog is about to go if they look down at the ground, because they're going to look where they want to step. And that's when you start correcting the dog from running out. Don't wait until your dog runs out the door. Get in their way, interrupt the process, make them hold a sit, or even in the beginning phases, I don't even tell them to sit or down or anything. I just make them stop at the threshold. Okay. So you can see Theo right here. All right. So I'm also using the door. I'm opening and closing the door. Yeah. Good. So we've been practicing. No. All right. So, good. So I'm going to move a little bit, and I want him. Sit. Come. Let's see if we can get him a little bit in frame. There we go. Sit. He likes to sit against the wall because he just gets a little nervous. No. There we go. So you can see when his head goes down, that's when I'm really interrupting him, okay? And I want to create this distance away from him. And he's being a really good boy. If I was reward training, good boy. No. There we go. All right. So I also have to be careful. I can't reward him, then correct him right away, okay? But mostly what I'm doing is I'm making sure that he's not crossing this threshold. No. Good. You see, right as he's going for the door, I'm correcting quickly. All right, I'm looking at his head. I'm looking at where he's moving. And if he tries to break through the threshold, I'm using spatial pressure. I'm walking up on him, okay? I'm closing the distance. I'm using spatial pressure, and I'm getting him to stay inside the door, okay? And this is the type of behavior we want to start seeing from our dogs when we practice doorway manners, okay? Good boy. There we go. That's a good boy. All right. So not until I say the magic word YES, which is his marker word, is he allowed to come out of the door. Okay. You want to be comfortable to the point. Sit. I was literally just about to turn my back because I was having so much confidence. I actually saw him in the camera try to move. But you want to get to the point where you're confident and comfortable that your dogs are going to hold positions, okay? So this is really what we want to see. I put Hudson on place. He's not allowed to get off until I give him the release. No, the release marker. Theo's really good at sit, so I'm going to keep him in a sit. So his is a little more complicated. He's not only holding doorway manners, he also has to hold a sit. Okay, so if he breaks from that sit position, then I'm going to correct him. Let's try to make it more complicated. Let's see if he'll go down. Lay down. Let's use just a little bit of leash pressure there. Good. Good boys. Good boys. And we just want to slow everything way down, okay? Slow everything way down. And we're still working on Theo holding a nice down. He's doing a pretty good job at it right now. But remember, guys, you're training, whether you do a board and train or go to a trainer or just trying to train yourself. I really try to express to my clients that there's really no end goal. There's really no end date, right? Training is just something that you kind of continue to condition. Most people get to a point where they'll plateau in their training. Their dog is really well trained and they won't really feel the need to make the dog learn more. But, for the average person, we're working, we're busy. We don't have all the time in the world, but we do want to dedicate some time to working on certain foundational things and training. And so, I kind of try to, say it's like working out in a gym for yourself. If you want results, you kind of keep working out. If you stop working out, you'll have a little regression in your physical appearance. So it's the same with dog training. But honestly, I will say that once you get to a point, the regression becomes a little minimal. The dog will really be bonded to you, will trust you. And then you can have situations, like this where you're comfortable with opening the door. There we go. So what am I doing here? What am I doing? All right. I'm immediately correcting when he's breaking position. And I'm putting him back in the position that I want. Okay. And actually, right now on camera, this is the longest he's ever held his doorway manners. All right, because usually we're training, so I have him hold it, then I let him go. But for this video, I kind of wanted um, to really do something a little longer in real time to show you, you know, how long the dog can hold it or until I feel comfortable of letting him go. All right, so and that goes for most of my videos. Okay, so if you've been tuning into the channel or you watch, I mean, most of my videos, I'm showing you what I'm doing with the dog. It's the dog's very first time doing that, maybe second or third, but for the most part, the dogs that I train are very green. They don't really know a lot. So, you know, when I show you something, it's typically the dog's first time doing it, and this is Theo's first time holding it for this long, right? Like I said, I usually make him hold it, but then I eventually release him because we're gonna go train or we're gonna go for a walk or something like that. But this is really good for him. I'm gonna go back and reinforce him. Good boy. And the one thing that you know, if you've been following along with Theo, no, he does like to get up. No. So what I'm doing to get him back into down, I'm just doing a little bit of leash pressure. All right. Here we go. A little bit of a standoff. There we go. Good boy. Okay. So he did want to give me a little bit of a standoff on that one where I put pressure on him and he was kind of holding it. But overall, really, really impressed with his progress and the way he's come along. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is typically I will always grab the leash. Are you a good boy, Theo? Yes. Good boy. All right. So we let him out. All right. We're going to go ahead and release Hudson too. Leave Hudson free. There we go. Good boy. All right. So this is the type of, let's see if we can get Theo in frame here. This is the type of obedience training and threshold training you really want to work. Hudson, come. Place. Good boy. All right. So you remember, guys, when you're working with your dogs and you're working duration, this is really the point. We're making our dogs hold these positions, but it's so important to be the one to release them. Don't let them just mosey off, okay? Put them on place, make them hold doorway manners. Don't let them just mosey through when you're done. Be the one to release him. Theo, yes? Oh, good boy. Good. Oh, who's a good boy? That's right. And you're a good boy. Look at these good boys right here. Huh? Hi. Right? And this is really where you get to the leave my dog alone. This is really where you get to the point where you start to have, you know, control over your dogs. They start listening, and the obedience training really starts to come through once you're working these foundational pack structure things and being the one to release your dog. Hudson, free. There we go. Theo, let's go. Okay, you guys, with that, we're going to go ahead and end the video there. If you guys have any comments, leave them down below. All right. And always remember, happy training. We'll see you on the next video.